The sounds and the smells of cereal mix cooking in my mom's kitchen always reminds me of childhood. But it took too long. Let's get it done a little quicker. Welcome to The Salted Pepper, where we cook for real life using real food and we keep it real simple. Today's recipe is super simple and it's super fast. If you've made cereal mix before in the oven, you know it takes quite a long time at low temperatures to perfectly toast up all the ingredients. And my mom used to make it in huge trays. Like, take this and quadruple it. And she would make 2, 3, 4 of them at a time. She's kind of like known for her cereal mix. So I have her recipe, which is pretty much like the one on the box, but with a few little mom twists, okay? And we're gonna make it in the air fryer. And it doesn't matter what kind of air fryer you have. I'm gonna use the Ninja Foodi because I can put it all in and get it all done at once. If you have a smaller air fryer, you're gonna have to do it in batches. But guess what? That's not gonna matter because your time is gonna be less, okay? So it's super easy across the board. If you have an oven air fryer, then you could do it right in something like this. Super easy recipe. Let's get to the ingredients. What I have is 3 cups of corn Chex Mix, 2 cups of the wheat Chex Mix, 3 cups of the rice Chex Mix. Now, you don't have to use the brand name. Mom never did. She used whatever was on sale. And you can change this up any way you want. So if you don't like a certain variety, omit that, double up on another one, okay? As long as you have 7 cups of the cereal mix, the base cereal, like Crispix works really well, anything that kind of has this shape. And the reason why the shape is important and the little holes are important is because that's what traps in all of the flavors. And they toast up and you can just sit by the fire or watch a movie and just snack on some Chex Mix. All right, so what else do you put in your Chex Mix? That depends on what you like, okay? Now, for the ratio of seasonings that we have, you're gonna wanna come pretty close to this or cut your seasonings back. I have 2 cups of cheese crackers. These are not the brand name. These are just a store-bought name. Work perfectly fine in here. You could use Goldfish little crackers, any kind of cheese crackers, or Cheetos. Not cheese puffs though. Don't do that. They'll get too soft and spongy. But Cheetos works great. Mom loves the flaming Cheetos, believe it or not. 1 cup of pretzels. You could increase this to 2 and then drop something else back if you want, but I don't like a ton of pretzels in my cereal mix, so 1 is good for me. And then we have the nuts. The nuts that I'm choosing to use are cashews, almonds, and peanuts. 1 cup, 1 cup, and 1 cup. You don't like cashews? Omit those. 2 cups of peanuts, 1 cup of almonds, 1.5 and 1.5. It doesn't matter. 3 cups total of nuts. All peanuts if you want, makes no difference at all. Okay, now you could try to put all of this into a pan, and if you had a little bigger one, you probably could, but that's too complicated for me. So what I do is grab a bag. Now, this is a trash bag, but it is clean, so I don't worry about that. If that isn't something you want to do, then just get a large roasting pan to mix it in. And then I dump in the cereal. Dump in the nuts. Dump in the cheese crackers. Dump in the pretzels. And then give it a little shake just to kind of disperse them around. And I think this is fun too. I don't know. There's something fun about this. All right. That's good enough. Now, we're going to open that up. And what I have here is 3 tablespoons of melted but cooled butter. Now, you don't want it to solidify. It has to be liquid, but you don't want it to be hot because you don't want it to burn through the bag. Then I have 1/3 of a cup of a plain canola oil. Any neutral flavored oil is fine. If you wanted to use avocado or something like that, don't use olive oil. It'll impart a strange flavor. 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. And whisk that up a little bit. And that is good enough. And then we're going to pour it all over And I usually do about a third, and a third, okay? So a third goes in, maybe a half. It doesn't matter. But I do it in batches. And then you get to play this game again, which I really love. Toss, 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 toss. I don't know. It's kind of soothing. Or maybe I just know what's coming and it's delicious. All right. Then we do it again do another little bit there. Oh my gosh, the smells. You can already smell it. It smells like cereal mix. I forgot something. Whoops. Okay. We're going to put it in here. Usually I put it in the beginning, with the whole thing. I didn't this time. Okay. Cholula or your favorite hot sauce. Mom always put in 1 to 2 shakes. If you want it spicy, put in 4. I'm only going to put in like 1, 2. Whoops. Okay. Half a teaspoon maybe? Yeah. Now, hopefully this will disperse enough. Oops. Anyway, see what I mean? You can make mistakes. It doesn't matter. It's going to be just fine and dandy. Some will be hot and some won't. Might be kind of nice. All right. Last one. I'll just put this all over. So 2 shakes is good for like a mild spice. 4 I thought was just maybe a little too spicy for me. But if you like spicy, go for 4. Okay. That's good enough. Now, the seasoning mix. You have to have that. And it's really basic. It's 3 ingredients. Oh my gosh. Ooh, it smells so good. I just love the smell. Reminds me of my mom and childhood so much. Okay, seasoning mix. 2.5 teaspoons of garlic powder, not salt. Don't use salt, garlic powder. 2.5 teaspoons of onion powder. Again, not onion salt, onion powder. And 2.5 teaspoons of seasoned salt. I'm using Lowry's. You could use your own, whatever. It's perfectly fine. Whatever you want to do. If you don't want to use that, you could use some salt and pepper and maybe a little tiny bit of paprika and, adjust that way. You could do it. Okay, about half of the seasonings go on. Sorry, I was going to talk so much and put them all on. This is what happens to me in videos. I make mistakes all the time. And it's okay. All right. Oh, be careful you don't poke your finger through the bag. I've done that. All right. All right, let's do a little bit more of the shaking. Now you want to be gentle. Like, I'm not going to throw this across the room and ask Jeff to catch it because we don't want to break up the cereal, but we do want to disperse all the seasoning all around so it's on all of the pieces. So just sort of toss them around. Whoops. All right, that's good. Now the air fryer. This is one of the recipes where you don't have to preheat. In fact, I don't advise that you do. Just open it up. If you have a Ninja Foodie, you're gonna be so happy because all you have to do is take your bag or your container and dump it right in. If you are using a basket style, you will have to make adjustments. You don't want it to go any further than 3/4 of the way up the basket, or, like if you have the Ninja Speedy, you're probably going to use half of this at a time and do 2 batches, okay? Because you have to have room to stir it. That's really important when you're making cereal mix. So I like to use this scoop. Any spoon, any, large scoop is going to work fine. Spread it out like that. Close. On this model, close the lid. If it's a drawer, you put it in. Speedy, you close it. Combi, you close the oven door. And we will select air fry, which is right here. Very important, you want to go down to 300 degrees. Now, if your air fryer goes lower than that, you can go lower, okay? Don't go higher though, because you will tend to burn some of the cereal before it toasts. This is a process. And unfortunately, although it's a lot quicker than doing it in the oven, it is a process that you need to stay right here for. And it takes somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes. And you might say, but wait a minute, Louise, you said this was gonna be quicker. Well, it is quicker because it takes 2 to 3 hours in the oven, so it is a lot quicker. 30 minutes for the whole batch in the foodie. If you're doing half, it's gonna be probably about 15, maybe 20 minutes. I'll show you how to tell when it's done. In a basket air fryer, you might just do it for 10 minutes because you're gonna have a lot less volume. Okay, so the volume makes a difference on how the cereal's toasting and how much is exposed. And so it's gonna go quicker in smaller air fryers. All right, every 5 minutes, I'm gonna go in and do a nice toss, and around the 20-minute mark is when I will start to taste it, and I'll give you some tips so you know when it's done. Okay, so after 20 minutes of air frying at 300 degrees and stirring every 5 minutes, if you're doing a full batch in the foodie, because remember, your time's gonna be different in other air fryers, but you would still wanna stir every 3 minutes or so. If you're going for 10 minutes, do it every 3 minutes, and then at about the 9-minute mark or so, you're gonna check it and see if it's ready. Now, it's important that you stir it well before you check it, because what we wanna make sure is that all the cereal is nice and toasted, and all of that wet ingredients, the oil, the butter, and the W sauce is all dried up, because we don't want the cereal mix wet. Okay. So I can tell, because I have made this so many times, that we're not quite ready yet. But you might look at it and say, how do I know? Well, the best way to know whether it's done is to take out an almond, a cashew, and a Cheez-It or a cheese cracker. Take those out. Got a few others there. And we're going to let them cool just for a minute. The other way you can tell if it's ready or not is look for shine. If you see a lot of shine, that means that we're not quite ready yet. The oil is still, has not absorbed and helped crisp up the cereal. I'm not seeing a whole lot of shine, but I'm not seeing the darkening that I want to see on these cheese crackers yet. So I know we're not quite there. All right, so once they cool for just, a minute, then you can taste it. That one's good. I know it's not done because it's still a little soft from that liquid stuff that we put on. Probably the almond. Yeah, a little too soft still. We're not done. Close the lid, go another 5 minutes, stir, check it again. All right, so another 5 minutes and it's starting to look a little bit better. Those cheese crackers are getting a little bit browner, which that is a good sign. So again, give a nice stir around because you want what's on the bottom to come to the top for an accurate test. And you can see some of the ones that are on the bottom are a little lighter. So I would say we're probably still not done yet. And I do see some shine on some of these almonds. So I'm not even gonna test again. I can tell we need 5 more minutes. But 30 minutes will be it. It's never taken longer than that. But some of my batches have been done in 25, okay? Just depends. It looks good and very nicely toasted. Okay, now, it's important that when it's done, you take it out of the pot or the basket that it's in and pour it out onto something that is like a shallow tray, okay? Now you can use a roaster pan, but it's gonna take a little bit longer to cool down. And you want the depth of the cereal mix to be as little as possible because that's going to cool it faster. And if it's really deep, like it would be if it sat in this pot, it's going to steam and it can actually soften up. So I like to pour it out and then spread it out and then let it sit. Now it needs to cool for at least, it needs to cool for at least 20 or 30 minutes. Now I'm not saying you can't sneak in here and eat some, you absolutely can. But you don't want to package it. Probably for at least an hour. You want it to be completely cool before you package it in an airtight container, or I'll show you a bag. That's what I used, a double bag. Because if you put it into something and it's hot, it's going to steam and that's going to sog it up a little bit, right? Soften it, sog it up. Sog it up's not really a word, but it'll soften it. So let it sit here for a little bit and then we'll give it a taste. All right, there we go. Now, it's still slightly warm to the touch, so I would not package it yet. But if you're having a party, it's ready to go. It's so delicious. If for some reason you haven't had cereal mix before, it doesn't taste like just toasted cereal. Like you get the flavors of the onion and the garlic and the salt, this is not too salty. I've made some that are. This one's not. And just a tiny bit of the hot sauce, but really this batch is super, super mild. Probably I'll hit a pocket because of the way I added it, but what I've tasted so far, super mild. So how do you package it? Any airtight container would be fine. Any sealable bag would be fine. What I use is those trash bags that I showed you before, and I double them, okay? And I'll just store it right in here, and it's stored at room temperature. And it stays good at least a month, really, sometimes more, especially if you have like a can, like a metal can to put the bag in, so you're like double protecting it from air and moisture, because moisture is the enemy here, so you don't want to leave it out for longer than it takes to cool. All right, so what I do when I'm eating the cereal mix is I look through. I've got a couple of favorites. The corn, and the cashews. What's your favorite part?